Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Ghost FM USA. Before we start, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with where you're from and what time you're watching. And I'm an AI narrator, so if I mispronounce anything, please forgive me. Now, let's begin. Ryan and Maya have been married for about 3 years. They lived in the heart of Washington, D.C. Right after their wedding, the world shut down due to the pandemic. Like everyone else, they were trapped in their apartment for months. As soon as the travel restrictions eased, they planned a honeymoon to a nearby mountain escape. Following their plan, Ryan got behind the wheel of their SUV and set off for the misty peaks of the Blue Ridge Mountains, specifically toward a scenic town called Nainital. They left D.C. in the early morning and reached the mountain town by late afternoon. Usually this place is swarming with tourists, but since the lockdown had just been lifted, it was unusually quiet. Many of the local shops were still closed. For the newlyweds, the lack of crowds didn't matter. They had come to enjoy each other's company in the beautiful mountain air. They checked into a rustic lodge. That evening, they left the hotel and took a walk along the shore of the massive lake that sat in the center of town. Even in the dim evening light, a few tourists were enjoying boat rides on the dark water. Ryan sat on a bench by the lake for a long time, holding Maya's hand. As darkness settled, the houses built into the cliffs began to glow one by one, like tiny embers. The reflection of those lights shimmered on the lake's surface, creating a breathtaking sight. Around 9 o'clock, they returned to the lodge and ordered dinner. After months of being locked in their city apartment, they felt truly alive in the mountain silence. After eating, Maya curled up on the bed to watch some TV, while Ryan stepped out for a cigarette. It was a habit he had after every meal. Near the lodge entrance, he saw a weathered wooden signboard with a map of the area. It pointed out local hiking trails, but a vast, shaded area caught his eye, labeled in bold, dark letters, Kilberry Woods. Ryan pulled out his phone and snapped a photo of the map. An old local man, leaning against a post and smoking a hand-rolled pipe, watched him. The man looked at Ryan and said, "Sir, you're here for the sights, I assume?" Ryan nodded. The man continued, "You'd be wise to hire a guide. They can show you the safe paths." Ryan brushed it off, saying he didn't need one. But the old man's face darkened. "No, sir. Going into those woods without knowing the land is a gamble you don't want to take. There are places in Kilberry where you simply do not belong." Ryan didn't like the idea of a guide. This was their honeymoon. Having a stranger follow him around felt like an intrusion. He ignored the man's warning and went back to the room. Maya was already asleep. He laid down beside her, scrolling through a photo of the map until he drifted off. The next morning, they had breakfast together. While at the table, Ryan showed Maya the photo. "Let's head up to China Peak," he said. "The map says you can see the entire range of the Appalachian peaks from there." Since they had their own car, they set off. The road was empty, almost hauntingly so. Within an hour, they reached China Peak, the highest point in the area. Under the bright sun, the entire town of Nainital was visible below. They spent hours exploring the summit, taking selfies with the snow-dusted peaks in the background. The wind was biting, even in the sun. They stopped at a small trailside shack for hot tea and some soup. While eating, Ryan asked the shopkeeper, "Hey, what's further down this road? Anything worth seeing?" The shopkeeper looked at him gravely. "Sir, If you keep going, you'll hit Kilberry Woods. There's nothing there but old, abandoned estates from the colonial era. No one lives there. No self-service. No people. No shops. Who would want to go to a place like that? Ryan's interest was piqued. Abandoned colonial mansions? That sounds incredible. Are they in ruins or still standing? The windows are shattered, but the walls are thick stone, the shopkeeper replied. I've seen them from a distance, but I never go near. He paused, then leaned in. Take my advice or don't go there. Ryan was surprised. But why? I can't give you a reason you believe. People just don't go. Stick to the tourist trails. Kilberry is best left alone. Ryan couldn't stop thinking about it. What was hidden in those woods that made everyone so afraid? A thrill of curiosity took hold of him. He paid the bill and drove straight toward Kilberry. Maya, remembering the shopkeeper's warning, begged him not to go, but Ryan insisted. Let's just see those old houses and come back, he told her. After a few miles, they entered Kilberry. The forest was dense, but it didn't feel scary. At least not yet. It was a beautiful emerald green wilderness. For a young couple, the isolation felt romantic. Ryan drove slowly, enjoying the late afternoon sun filtering through the towering pines. Suddenly, they saw a massive stone archway by the road, an old gate from the colonial era. It stood firm and imposing. A gravel path led through the gate into the deep woods. Ryan told Maya. The shopkeeper mentioned British-era bungalows. This path probably leads right to them. Let's take a look. Maya was terrified. No, Ryan, we're completely alone out here. Let's just turn back. Don't worry, Ryan said. We won't get another chance like this. We've come this far. Let's see what's inside. He turned the steering wheel and drove through the gate. They traveled a long way down the gravel path, but no houses appeared. There was nothing but endless rows of ancient trees. Ryan remarked, You have to admit it's beautiful. I love places like this. Maya whispered, But it's just woods, Ryan. There's nothing else. Ryan laughed softly. Just a little further. If we don't see a house soon, I'll turn around. The car bumped along the uneven trail. The sounds of birds, the hum of crickets, and the wind whistling through the pines mixed with the low drone of the engine. After a long while of seeing nothing, Maya spoke up again. Ryan, we've been driving forever. The road isn't ending, and the woods are getting darker. We're too deep. Please turn around. Ryan finally agreed. He began to turn the car around, but as he did, a sharp metallic crunch echoed through the trees. Something had snagged the wheel. With a loud, rear tire went flat. They got out and saw that a coil of rusted, heavy-duty barbed wire had been wrapped around the axle. Maya was furious. How did you not see that wire? I don't know. It just appeared out of nowhere, Ryan stammered. I didn't see a thing. Just change the tire so we can get out of here. Yeah, hold on. I'll do it right now. Ryan opened the trunk to grab the spare, but he froze. He had forgotten to pack the jack. There were no other cars on this trail. The flag down. He pulled out his phone. No bars. Maya checked hers. Nothing. Ryan's voice trembled with regret. We're in trouble. The sun is going down and we have no service. What do we do? I told you not to come here. Maya shouted. I know. It's my fault. But we have to think of something. Maya suggested. Let's just walk back. We can get to the main road and hitch a ride. Ryan looked at her, shocked. Walk? It's at least 5 or 6 miles back to the asphalt. It'll be pitch black by the time we get close, and there's no guarantee a car will even pass by. Let's see if there's a house nearby instead. They had no other choice. They started walking forward, hoping to find shelter. Ryan was hopeful, but Maya was sinking into despair. After walking about a mile, they came across a stream. A wooden footbridge spanned the shallow, rushing water. They crossed it, and just a bit further, they saw it, a massive, sprawling bungalow. It was a grand Victorian-era estate. Though the splendor had faded over a century, the house was still an imposing sight in the middle of nowhere. As they got closer, the house seemed to grow taller, looming over them. In the front courtyard stood a stone fountain, now filled with nothing but dust and dead leaves. Maya whispered, "Ryan, I don't think anyone lives here. Let's go back." "We can't go back now," Ryan replied. "Let's just see if someone is inside." They stood at the main entrance. Next to the gate, they saw a basket filled with fresh, green grass. The gate itself was massive and made of heavy iron. Ryan gave a hard push, and it opened with a long, agonizing screech. When they stepped inside, their jaws dropped. The walls were lined with large oil paintings of stern colonial officers. Great stone pillars held up a high ceiling. A massive crystal chandelier hung from the center, its colored glass dusty, but still reflecting what little light remained. A grand, winding staircase with ornate railings looked like it led to another world. Despite the dust and the thick cobwebs, the mansion still felt hauntingly grand. They were so caught up in the mystery of the house that they almost forgot why they were there. As they explored, night fell completely. The crickets began their rhythmic chirping, and soon a thunderstorm broke outside. Lightning flashed across the sky. They climbed the stairs to the second floor. Through a glass window, they could see the jagged streaks of lightning illuminating the forest. In that light, they saw a study with stacks of old paper on a desk, antique wooden chairs, and a tall cabinet. Next to it was a grand bedroom. One thing struck them as bizarre. The bed. The sheets were pulled tight and perfectly clean. It looked as if someone slept there every night. But the room was filled with a faint, sickening smell of decay. Maya whispered, "The bed is so clean. Someone has to be here." "You're right," Ryan said. He called out, "Is anyone here? We need help." No answer. He called again. Still nothing. Then Ryan noticed a faint wisp of smoke coming from a room in the corner of the house. He told Maya, "That looks like a kitchen. Someone must be in there. Wait here, I'll check it out." "Okay, but hurry back." Ryan reached the kitchen door and peered inside. He was right. It was a kitchen. An old kerosene lantern flickered on a table. 2 large copper pots were sitting on a stove, steam rising from them. But the room was empty. In one corner sat a pile of firewood. In another, a wicker basket with old clothes. Beside it stood a large iron drum with a heavy lid. A leak in the roof had left the floor damp from the rain. The smell coming from the pots was unmistakably the scent of cooking meat. Ryan wanted to see what was inside, but the lids were too hot to touch. He grabbed a cloth from the wicker basket. It was a torn shirt, stained with fresh blood. Using the cloth, he lifted the lid. Under the lantern's glow, his eyes nearly popped out his head. Boiling in the pot was a human hand, severed at the wrist. Ryan dropped the lid with a terrifying crash. Terrified, he grabbed the lid of the iron drum nearby and pulled it off. Inside, a human body had been hacked into pieces. He knew then they were in the worst place imaginable. Ryan bolted from the kitchen, screaming for Maya to run. Maya raced toward the main entrance and tried to push the gate open, but the same heavy iron door that had swung open easily before was now frozen shut. Ryan threw his whole weight against it, but it wouldn't move an inch. Suddenly, a loud, sharp neigh of a horse echoed from outside the gate. Someone was out there. Ryan told Maya to be quiet and slid the heavy iron bolt into place from the inside, locking the door so whatever was outside couldn't get in. They ran into a side room and hid. The window in that room had broken glass, but was reinforced with heavy iron bars. There was no way to squeeze through. Maya asked, trembling, "What did you see in the kitchen?" Ryan's voice was a ragged whisper. "Maya, we're trapped. Whoever lives here, they kill people. They eat them." Maya began to cry. "How are we going to get out?" "The doors are locked and the windows are barred," Ryan said. "We're stuck. Are we going to die here?" she sobbed. Ryan pulled her close. "No, I won't let anything happen to you." Ryan looked out through the iron bars. In the faint moonlight, he saw something moving near the trees. He squinted and saw two figures, a man and a woman, standing near the woods, staring directly at the bungalow. He couldn't see their faces clearly. Then his eyes moved to something closer. A snow-white horse was standing right in front of the main gate. A large, powerful man sat in the saddle. The horse stood perfectly still. Then, a bolt of lightning ripped across the sky, illuminating the courtyard. Ryan and Maya gasped in horror. The man sitting on the horse had no head. He was wearing an old colonial officer's uniform, but his neck ended in a jagged stump, human meat on the stove, and a headless horseman at the gate. It was a nightmare they never could have imagined. Ryan whispered, "I saw a man and a woman standing in the trees. We have to signal them for help." Maya saw them too, standing partially hidden by the branches. Staring at their window, Ryan and Maya thrust their hands through the bars, waving frantically and begging for help. But the two figures remained motionless, just watching. Then a massive thud echoed through the house. Someone was forcing the main gate open. The iron groaned and screeched as it gave way. From their hiding spot, they watched as the horse walked into the hall, followed by the headless rider. Their blood ran cold. They were watching a living, headless ghost. He dismounted and took a leather bag from the saddle. He walked with stiff, robotic pace toward a large table set under the crystal chandelier. He pulled something out of the bag. Ryan and Maya watched through the crack in the door. The headless officer pulled out a severed human head, blood still dripping from it. He placed the head onto a stump and gave a sharp twist. The head snapped into place like a magnet. The officer then took a large pot from the kitchen, filled it with the cooked meat, and sat at the table. He began to tear into the flesh like a starving predator. The horse stood by the gate, calmly eating the fresh grass from the basket. Ryan saw that the main gate was now open, and the officer was distracted by his meal. This was their only chance. They held their breath and crept out of the room, moving toward the gate. They kept their eyes fixed on the officer, who was so gorged on his meal that he didn't notice two people slipping behind his back. Slowly, silently, they reached the gate and then bolted. They ran with everything they had into the dark woods. Finally, They collapsed behind a large tree, gasping for air. Ryan whispered, "Thank God, we're out. We just have to get out of these woods now." But Maya was silent. She was staring back at the bungalow with wide, hollow eyes. "Maya, what is it?" Ryan asked. Maya slowly raised her hand and pointed at the house. Ryan looked back, and the color drained from his face. His heart skipped a beat. In the window of the bungalow, two figures were pounding on the glass. A man and a woman, waving their hands, crying out in a silent, desperate plea for help. Those two people were Ryan and Maya. They had never actually left the house. To this day, their SUV sits abandoned in those woods, slowly being covered by vines and rust. Even now, on quiet nights, you can hear the faint, agonizing screams of two people coming from that old stone mansion. And they say that the headless officer still patrols the grounds of Kilberry, while the shadows of Ryan and Maya remain trapped forever, pounding on a window that will never open.